Hello again. This time I'm here to show you guys an awesome head tracking method that's free if you own a webcam. Let's get right to it. Google Face Track No IR and click the SourceForge link that pops up. From here, download whatever the latest version is. Make sure to download the full installer and not the update. Since I already have it, I'm not going to download again. It should be around 75 megabytes to download. If this does work for you and you can spare some money, make sure to donate something for the developers. So I've heard stories about the software having issues recognizing bearded faces. So if you're bald and have a long beard, the software may think that your face is upside down. So you may want to just consider that. Okay, let's fire it up. It's always a good idea to start programs like these with administrative privileges. Alright, now before we do fun things, we should configure some settings. This is what my configuration looks like, and when it works perfectly with Arma, though with other games it may need different settings. Refer to the help section at the website where you downloaded this for details. Set the tracker source to Face API and open the settings. I've got everything enabled because I configured my curves properly, but you can remove extra settings if you want. For example, roll can get pretty annoying, so can the head movement from left to right. Next, let's move to the filter and set it to Excella Filter Mark II. You don't need to mess around with the settings for this, but what this curve essentially is that it allows you to change how the output of the program scales in relation to the input. Output's on the y-axis and input is on the x-axis. Rotation is the roll, yaw, and pitch output, with the translations that are X, Y, and Z outputs. Finally, let's take a look at the game protocol. Set this to FreeTrack 2.0 and in the settings, change the select interface to use track IR, hide FreeTrack. You can see that the default option, you can use the default option to use both, but with both interfaces, some games may get confused, and it's best to let Arma be happy. Next, let's set up the hotkeys. Click on Shortkeys, and you'll see this menu come up. The two main hotkeys you absolutely need to bind are the Center and Start/Stop keys. The Center hotkey resets the input to 0. This is important when you're shifting positions in your chair, and suddenly you're stuck looking out of the window for some reason. Basically, whenever you change a resting position, hit this key to calibrate the software back to 0 for its current position. Start/Stop is pretty self-explanatory. It starts or stops the head tracking. You can use this so that you're not stuck with it when you're running around as infantry, if you don't want it. Okay, finally, let's look at some curves. Now, your curves may look significantly different from mine. Mine are more, well, curvy, and yours are probably flat. This is because I've set up a dead zone for all my inputs. What this means is that for a certain range of inputs, the software is going to output 0. That is, if I'm in my resting position and I just want to move my head slightly to check ammo or fuel status, the software isn't going to make my camera shoot off in one direction. I strongly recommend setting a small dead zone, otherwise your camera is going to be very jittery. Do this for all the outputs you have enabled. As a side note, you may want to bring down the maximum output to a more realistic values. For example, when pitching down, that is looking down, you can't look further than 90 degrees in pretty much any first-person shooter. So setting it more than that is just waste. Alright, let's start this up, and if you have your webcam connected, you should see your face pop up on the left-hand side and a yellow horseshoe-like sign around your eyes and mouth. Okay, let's pop up Arma. Now again, before we can have fun, we want to make sure that our Arma settings are correct. Go to your settings, options, controller, and make sure that track IR is enabled. Go down to your controls, view, and you should see the default track IR bindings, and those should work fine. If, like me, you spawn looking sideways, simply press that hotkey that we talked about. By default, it's the home key, and it should center your view. Awesome. We're ready to explore the software now. Once you use it for a bit, go back to the software and fiddle with the curves a bit to hit your personal sweet spot. Once done, save your profile and load it up whenever you want. Hope you guys have some awesome head tracking fun, and see you next time.